You can actually see how many days are left
Yeah, yeah,
until your reactivation.
yeah. So
Wow.
basically, I can still read stuff on Facebook, but I simply cannot. I I'm not able to post anything in public. So the reason for that was on the last few days of February,
Mm,
there was a troll who attacked me,
mm.
and then I retaliated by basically nagkuhan ko nagmura ako namalikas ko so yeah, and then
What's this live?
automatic, huh?
Live? You
No,
recorded
that's not
something?
live. No. It was something I typed. It
Okay.
was like several things I typed, and it was some kind of Facebook auto detect that as soon as I pressed enter, automatically you're banned for you're suspended for 30 days. Like what? So anyway, that's what happened. So and there's nothing I can do about it. So anyway, I said, okay, I'll just focus on work, read books, whatever. I'm not gonna forget it, you know.
You're not the only person that's been sanctioned by Facebook. There's
Yeah, I
a
know.
long list of bloggers now who are experiencing the same thing. Parang they're clamping down on everyone. No,
Yeah, I know. Oh well.
it's nuts.
So anyway, now we know those of us who are very vocally pushing for reforms, who support this administration, whenever there are trolls, instead of responding to them, just delete them and block them, and then that's it. Don't say anything. If
Don't
you say
engage.
something, there's a possibility that you're gonna get banned. You're gonna get suspended for it. So
I spoke
ingat ka lang.
to the guy in charge of political or government affairs for
Mm.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Named Roy. He said that
yeah.
he's based in Singapore. He said that ano daw na hindi naman daw automatic pag merong group report, pag ni-report yung ano mo, yung blog mo or your post, hindi automatic daw na they're gonna take you down. So I'm wondering, I don't know, Ryan, you're the tech guy. What's
No,
the
actually, I think this. So this is how it works. If you, for example, in my case, I've been in these kinds of conflicts lots of times already since 2016.
Hmm.
So it's happened to me a lot of times already. So I'm kind of like, I'm considered a repeat offender. You know, in the sense of being reported by enemies, right? So I guess I got myself into a list, and so now I'm probably on a list where they have an automatic censor, and if I type something
Mm,
that's not right,
mm.
I'm gonna get it. So
So it's not mass reporting that's
not all
causing all
this
this.
particular one. Okay, before it was like mass reporting or just plain reporting. But now it wasn't even that. I didn't have to get reported by anyone because I think I was already considered to be some kind of what do you call this? Repeat offender. Then I suddenly got, how do you say this? I would always end up getting watched. I'm on some kind of a watch list.
Mm,
So if you're on a watch list and then you type stuff that you've got some bad words there, you've got some you say stuff that's ban worthy, then they won't even wait for someone to report you. They will just automatically screen whatever you say, and then okay, he said the bad word, okay, back, you're
sige ba? Let's talk about that when we
suspended.
get going with our conversation tonight on Istoryang Futbolero.
Yep.
So we're all set. Time sa ganito. There you go. All right, here we go. Wait, time sa mali. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome to Istoryang Futbolero. My name's Ron Poblete. Tonight, it's a Friday. And if it's a Friday, you know what it means, right? It's Orion Perez Dumdum from Correct Movement joining us for another edition of what did we call our Friday program, Orion? Yeah?
Constipation.
Constipation Friday.
Constipation by the Constitution Friday.
Constipation by the Constitution, the 1987 Constitution. All right. So, Orion, welcome back to the show. Medyo matagal tayong hindi nagkasama. Medyo
Oh.
busy ka sa iyong personal life. We do have
Busy.
lives beyond our blog.
And ano din, busy in Facebook jail.
Oh, yeah.
Walang hiya.
Grabe. It's funny, but at the same time, people are wondering. I even read some complaints from our netizens from Facebook, people who are constantly on Facebook saying, ano ba tong Facebook? Bakit ba sila masyadong biased? Parati na lang yung mga supporters ni Presidente ang binaban nila. Tapos, if you read some of the bloggers' messages that caused their suspension, it's actually just very reasonable. Hindi naman siya nang
Kaya nga
babastos.
eh. Yeah, exactly.
Alam mo yun?
Yeah.
Wala na, parang there's no room for sarcasm anymore on
Wala na.
Facebook. If you're part of that list, na parang meron silang hit list of
Oh,
people that lalong-lalo na yung mga lalaki yung audience, kagaya mo, Orion, pati sila MJ Kiambao, si Darwin Carniete, si Fiscal, and then so much more, and so many more na mga who are known to be staunch supporters of the president, yung tinatawag nating DDS bloggers. So nakakapagtaka, Orion, if this is being done intentionally. I'm sure no one from Facebook's going to explain to us why it's happening. It's their discretion, whether they'll explain to you what's been going on. Kasi pag tiningnan mo yung mga Facebook pages ng opposition, parang they're intact naman. Nababan ba yung mga gaya ni Pinoy Ako Vlog? Or yung mga
hindi nga eh.
silent majority, ano yung
Silent no more, ano pa yun?
Silent no
The
more ba
silent
yun?
majority. Ano yung mga ganyan? Kalokohan yan.
Tapos yung mga even the communist-backed pages, yung na parating naglalabas
Altermedia.
O, diba?
Yan, Ipot Foundation. I say Ibon Foundation. Yung mga ganyan.
So, do they get suspended, Orion? Do you know
No.
of any instances where these pages are also
They don't.
get banned? Pag binasa mo, example lang, Pinoy Ako Vlog, Orion, ang daming pinagsasabing mga kalokohan at saka mali-mali impormasyon itong si Jover Laureo, di ba? Tapos mukhang okay naman siya. At meron pa siyang nagawa pa niyang magmalaki sa Twitter. I think she was being overly joyous about certain bloggers getting suspended. Alam mo yun?
Biased ata talaga ang especially the Pinas group of Facebook yata talagang
Really?
notorious siya eh. I think
Okay.
so, yeah.
Labo, no? Well, Orion, first of all, it's a sad week for our supporters for
Yeah, for the
reform.
constitutional reform group, yeah.
One of the big advocates for that, who was also a former colleague of mine from the DILG CFCR, the Center for Federalism and Constitutional Reform. He's been there for the longest time, and he's known even Yusek Malaya, even before he entered the DILG. He passed away on Monday. He got sick 2 weeks ago. He actually said he was feeling sick on 2 Fridays ago, and then he decided to have himself checked, and it was positive that Sunday. meron pala siyang COVID.
Was it just last Sunday and then the day after is when he
Two
passed on?
Sundays ago. 2 Sundays ago.
So he was
So
he
Friday,
he
two
he come
Fridays ago, sabi niya, masama pakiramdam niya. Tapos that Sunday, nagpa-check siya. Yun, positive, may COVID
so
siya.
parang naka more than a month, more than a week siya sa hospital.
Ay, a week and a half siguro.
Yeah,
Parang
week and a
gano'n.
half. Okay.
Tapos
Oh
nung,
my gosh.
and he didn't even say anything. I think one of the professors, guys, kung napanood na nyo si P2P, si Professor to Professor, if you remember Professor Alfred and Professor Eric, si Professor Alfred yung namatay nung Monday. Si Professor Eric, na-mention lang niya sa akin, I think just a few days
Yes.
before he passed away, or last Sunday lang, kausap pa niya si Professor Alfred. At wala namang sinabi, mukhang okay siya. Pero yung pala, tinatago niya yung kanyang karamdaman. Hindi niya sinasabi kahit kanino. And then he succumbed to his, it was a severe case
It
of
was
COVID.
so COVID, and then I guess he had something else because I think that's how
Probably
COVID works, right? Like,
or meron siyang siguro heart condition na hindi natin alam.
yeah,
Tapos
yeah,
nung Monday, he succumbed to it. Yun, kawawa naman. It's just close to home, Orayo, no? Kasi we've been with that guy for,
yeah. I
uh,
know we've been collaborating
we've
on the
collaborated with
constitutional reform thing.
Professor Alfred, and we consider him as a friend. And he's a big admirer of yours, Orion. Keeps on mentioning you when we have conversations about our topics. And so it's a sad week for everyone.
Yeah, I was
For
just talking to to Professor Eric as well about it. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's just yesterday. I only found out yesterday, and I was really, really, really shocked.
yeah.
Ay,
Ay,
rest in
nako.
peace
Well,
lang, Alfred.
yeah, rest in peace to Professor Alfred Soreta, and and also condolences to his family. Actually, I've been hearing, Orion, that lately it's been families na who are getting hit by COVID. As a matter of fact, see Professor Alfred, his entire family yata may COVID. And he was the one who had it worse. And just recently, I
Oh,
just caught uh, another a very disturbing piece of news from merong nag-share ng parang message from one of the families who own I don't know if you've heard of this, Orion. Family behind Aristocrat restaurant.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So parang the mother and the father died. The son who's married died too.
What?
They left behind the wife of the son, the 2 year old, and the yaya, who all of them got COVID.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that too. Kaya mag-ingat po tayo, no? Hindi natin na I know usually we remind you at the end of the program to be safe and to make sure to follow.
Aristocrat, ano yun Reyes family. Kilala ko yung isa dun. Naging kaklase ko yun sa grade school, yung isang,
Actually,
dun eh.
let me get the names here, Orion, para just to be sure.
Reyes family.
Ano, maybe you remember any of some of them that were mentioned earlier. Because it was in one of my messenger groups. I think it was with some family. Ito. This was coming from Raymond Reyes, who owns Aristocrat,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think his brother Ramon, or first cousin pala, on passed away from COVID complications. His son too, Joseph, also succumbed to COVID. Who happens to be a jiu-jitsu martial arts sports heavyweight competitor. So medyo active at yun na nga. He battled COVID for 2 to 3 weeks yata sa PGH ICU. And the mom at this point was still alive. Was at the ICU, but one of our friends from one of our futboleros mentioned kanina that she also died at si Marisa Camacho. Yun.
Okay, yeah.
So,
So I see here, yeah, Ate Marisa. So I'm looking at my friend. I have a friend who is a Reyes, who is also part of the aristocrat group, Alexei
mm,
Reyes, and I'm looking at his profile, and he says here Ate Marisa, and he has another relative, Ate, he called Ate Ines Reyes. Oh my gosh, so many people in his family.
mm.
Grabe.
So, ay nako. Condolences to the Reyes family and the people behind Aristocrat. This is a sad day it's really a tragic day for their family. Can you imagine, Ryan, if three of your family members actually passed away, di ba? Medyo
And almost the same time, yeah, grabe.
lahat pa. Actually,
Ah,
yung mga kasama natin sa DILG are still in a shock after what happened to Professor Soreta, to Professor Alfred. Well, anyway, we continue on with our Istoryang Futbolero tonight. We do have a lot of early birds watching. Si Gray Casimir Mendez. Good evening, mga idol. Happy Friday. Welcome back, Orion Perez from Paul Ian, Rockford Maunes, Don Pilonio. Good evening, Futboleros. Rolando Reyes. Welcome back, Sir Orion. Si Jojo Garcia, good evening, Boss Ron and Ryan. I'm sad with the recent passing of Professor Soreta. May he rest in peace. Tapos si Paul Ian, buti naman at suspension lang daw, Orion. Buti hindi
mm.
ka pa nga nababan eh. Meron na ba tayong kilala na natanggal yung ano talaga, yung account? Well, is that even possible?
Si George.
Si
Si
George.
George. Si George.
Oh
Si
God.
George
Si
Ahmed.
George. Hindi,
Si George Ahmed.
hindi nga. Natanggal
Si
yung
George
kanyang account?
Ahmed. Yeah, nawala ba eh. Nawala siya.
What? Oh my gosh.
Nawala siya ba eh. I don't know, I think he had so many violations in a short span of time. Kay daghan man kay siya
Oh,
pamalikas. So
wow.
nawala siya galit. He's gone like on Facebook. But
Hindi
he
lang
has another
suspended.
account.
He's
Hindi
another
lang
account.
but he has another account, but the original one which has his name on it, like he has
And
another
all
one.
in the thousands and thousands of followers is
Yeah.
gone. Oh
The
my
one with the
gosh.
40,000 followers. Yeah, that's gone.
Oh boy. Man, ang hirap magkaroon, ang hirap to build your audience, di ba? Tapos bilang ganun,
Yeah.
just like that, they'll just take it away from you. Si Jumark Pedismino, I miss you, Sir Ryan. Welcome back. Si Pao Ortega, good evening, Sir Ron and Sir Ryan. Anong update sa constitutional amendments sa Kongreso sa replay po na manood? God bless. Orion, oo nga. Do you have anything new to report?
Really, what I just really wanted to talk about firstly was yung sana yung the Catholic hierarchy. Particularly, there's this guy named Broderick Pabilio,
Okay.
who is
Oh my God. Is this
supposedly
Archbishop?
a bishop. He's never going to be an arch. He's not.
Bishop
He's a
lang pala.
bishop. He's just a bishop, and I think they put a glass ceiling on him. I think the Vatican seems to have put a glass ceiling on this guy because they don't like him. I think they realize that he is a thorn on the side of the Vatican.
He
They're
says
making
the craziest, the stupidest things.
He's the stupidest guy ever to be a bishop. And he's like really destroying Catholicism in the sense that
Yeah.
people are now thinking, people are leaving because of this guy. People are leaving Catholicism because of this guy because he is so anti-reform. I mean, we're not. Look, I'm okay with people who are against the administration, but at least if you're pro-reform, we're okay.
Mm.
So my point is, basta maging pro-reform ka. This guy, he's totally against reform. He doesn't know what the reforms are. He doesn't know anything about what's wrong with the current 1987 Constitution. Kontra pa rin ang kontra. He
Oh,
he doesn't understand anything, tas ko kontra siya. Yun yung point ko dito with this guy, this Broderick
totoo ba ito,
Pabilio.
Ryan? Sabi ni Rockford Maunes, he was replaced. Is that true?
Oh, so
Is
so so he was never okay. He was never the archbishop. He was never an
ah,
archbishop. He was
okay.
just made a administrator. So may administrator siya,
Mm.
bishop lang siya, rango niya, bishop lang. Para bang never ka pwedeng maging general. Colonel ka lang ha, colonel ka lang. Hindi ka pwedeng maging general. Colonel ka lang, tapos parang interim ano ka lang ha, parang placeholder ka lang dyan. Pero hindi ka talaga pwede pumunta dyan sa posisyon na yan. So parang they never made him archbishop. So somebody else now became archbishop. Cardinal Advincula. Yun na lang ang ginawa,
Mm.
ginawang Archbishop of Manila. And this guy, kaya pala galit na galit sa mundo kasi, bakit ano? Kaya, he's taking it out on reforms. He's taking it out on the chances of Filipinos. You know what's so stupid about this idiot, Broderick Pabilio? You know, idiots like him kasi, galit yung galit yung Catholic Church. Bakit ang mga, 'di ba, para bang bakit ang kababaihan ng Pilipinas napupunta sa mga yung nagiging malaswa, nagpapa-sexy sasayaw-sayaw. O yan. Oh, magalit kayo sa yung ang daming babae na nagti-TikTok na ang ginagawa nila nagpapa-sexy sila, na nagsasayaw sila para silang agogo dancer para makapag-akit ng lalaki na mayaman na magiging kabit sila para masusustentahan sila. And hopefully some of them para makabingwit ng foreigner, para makalabas sila ng Pilipinas at magkaroon sila ng mas magandang buhay, 'di ba? Para may mapapadala silang pera sa kanilang mga pamilya. Yan yung nangyayari. Ang dami, you look at your feed. Marami kang makikita yung mga yun nga yung parang binebenta na nila sarili nila kasi wala silang trabaho eh. Now, the Philippine Catholic hierarchy should be the first to say, para naman magkaroon ng trabaho, hanapan natin ng paraan para magkatrabaho ang maraming tao para hindi na kailangan magbenta ng kanilang mga laman yung mga taong yan, yung mga babaeng yan. Dapat maging bukas sila sa mga reforma. Di ba? Dapat maging bukas sila sa pagpasok ng foreign investor para dumami yung mga trabaho, para hindi na magiging yung mga parang kalapating mababang lipad ang mga mangyayari. Di ba? Guardians of morality daw sila eh. Pero bakit ayaw nilang magkaroon ng mga matitinong trabaho para sa Pilipino? Bakit gusto nila na manatiling mahirap at desperado at yun nga, nagiging pokpok, iba.
Bro, don't even get me started. Huwag na nating kalimutan na natin yung comments nila about the women who end up getting into that profession. Itong recent nga na controversy nitong particular bishop na to na nagkomento na bakit daw sila pinagbabawalan, bakit daw ang gobyerno nakikialam sa pag-practice ng mga religious kasi 'di ba malapit na mag-Holy Week eh. And syempre mataas yung kaso ng COVID the last week and a half or last 2 weeks. So ngayon nagkaroon tayo ng parang bubble na tinatawag, circuit breaker yung tawag nila dito sa ating bagong ginawa para lang to minimize the number of cases. Para
circuit breakers is the terminology they use here in Singapore. So,
yeah, I heard also, Ryan.
Circuit breakers is the term used.
Actually, that's a term that's being used in Singapore. Ngayon, syempre, part of the entire practice of doing a circuit breaker is to isolate people from each other. And they are prohibited from going out. And syempre bawal yung mga congregation, yung mga pagtitipon-tipon ng yung mga mass gatherings kagaya ng pagpunta sa simbahan. At syempre Holy Week, maraming gustong magsimba. Ito itong paborito natin si Pabilio.
Si Pabilo, kumuna siya ka na sa pabuto ba? Sa Pabilo,
nagpabuto si Pabilo.
Pabilo niya, Pabilo.
Sabi niya, bakit daw nakikialam ang gobyerno?
Gago talaga yung Pabilo na yan. Pabilyo na yan. Ewan talaga sa kanya. I don't know. Bobo talaga. Bobo. Wala kang mahanap na ibang bobo talaga na napunta dyan sa kanyang posisyon. Ang dami mga Salesiano, ang dami mga kaibigan na Bosconian. Kasi yan Salesian siya. He used to be with the priests who were handling Bosco. And maraming galit sa kanya. Walang kwentang tao daw yan. Yeah, ang daming galit sa kanya. Coops yan. Coops talaga yan. Coops yan. magtanong ka ng mga buskon yan, kupal talaga yung gagong ano na yan, yung pavilion na yan. Tangina, yan yung nagsisira eh. You know, siya yung type na, kaya nga ang dami ngayong umaalis ng pagiging Katoliko kasi nga parang, siya
Disillusion.
yung nakakadisilusyon yung mga ginagawa niya eh. Actually, kaya nga lang ako na Katoliko pa rin kasi dito sa Singapore, okay yung mga ano dito eh. Okay yung mga pari dito tsaka yung hierarkiya dito. Hindi sila mga kaloko gumagawa ng kabobohan. Eh, by the way, there's a bit of echo. There's a bit of echo. So anyway, I was saying, no, may echo pa rin. May echo. Anyway, I was gonna say, itong si Pabilio talaga, yan, panira talaga yung taong yan sa kung anumang organisasyon na meron siya. Dito sa Singapore, yung mga Muslim nga dito, yun yung nagsasabi na wag muna tayong mag-ano ng sobrang daming tao, ganyan, kasi kailangan safety first, ganyan. Parang naiintindihan ng iba't ibang mga religion dito.
Sabi ko nga, Orion, si Pabilio is contradicting the pragmatism of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Parang is totally the opposite of what you would expect.
Ayun nga yung kay Jesus Christ na yung sinasabi niya na you honor and praise God in private. Yung parang
yeah.
Diba?
Hindi ba tama if ikaw
tao yung kanya.
Kung ikaw ay nagpa-practice ng iyong relihiyon, ang pinakaunang iisipin mo, at I think this works for anybody who is devout Catholic or Christian, what would Jesus do? Diba? That's it. The first question you should ask yourself, what would Jesus do? So kung may pandemic at alam mong makakahawa ka at dadami yung kaso ng COVID, tapos magkakaproblema yung ating mga ospital, ang ating health system ay babagsak. Kung ikaw si Jesus, ikaw na mismo magsasabi, relax muna tayo.
Oo, yun nga eh.
Dasal na lang tayo muna sa ating mga bahay.
Actually, itong si Pabilio, parang Pharisee yan eh. Pharisee. Yun yung parang gano'n. Diba? Mga self-righteous.
Ang labo talaga niya. And I'm sorry, Ryan, but he reminds me of so many people who are against against our advocacy, constitutional reform, because they tend to be very they tend to contradict themselves. Ang kanilang mga points of view contradict their actions and their beliefs. They say na diba? Anong tingin mo, Ryan, diba? I mean, isa lang napansin ko sa mga yan eh. Meron silang kumbaga they come from the same thread. Itong mga anti reforms, anti-constitutional reform, they seem to have a particular personality. And most of the time, their personality can be defined as duplicitous, inconsistent, and ang dami nating ways to describe. Like, for example, impractical. And just recently, napag-usapan natin yung ating best friend sa Senado, si Mr. Drilon, yung ating senador na ngayon ay somewhat aligned with the left kasi gusto daw niyang i-criminalize yung pagre-red tag, Orion.
Gago.
Sabi ko, ano bang sabihin ng red tagging? Di ba pag red tag was invented by the communists themselves? Hindi ba yun?
Oo nga eh.
That's weird, man.
Bay, nakagyan po yung echo. Nakagyan po ng echo, bay. Okay, parang wala na. That's good. Wala na. Finally, wala na.
Sabi ni Daniel Dadaito, the Catholic Institute is disappointing. It has become more about money, power, and influence and less about morality of religion. Nood na lang ng talks in Jordan Peterson regarding morals. Alam mo, Orion, yung may point si Daniel, no? Kasi itong 2 weeks going into the Holy Week ay very critical for the Catholic Church kasi that's where they collect the most money siguro or what do you call it? It's not yung donations, tithing. na nangyayari sa mga pagpupunta ng simbahan, di ba, nagbibigay ng pera. So wala silang koleksyon kung sarado ang simbahan. Sa tingin mo, is that a reason for somebody like Pabilio to try to defy the the directives of the IATF? Kasi wala silang collection eh. Paano sila how will they
Probably
sustain
it.
no?
Wala talaga eh. Wala, yung pavilion na yan dapat ipadala, dapat damputin yan, dala sa Spratlys yan. Send him to the Sprats together with all those with those Reds.
Si
Lahat ng
Trillanes,
mga,
nakita mo yung nakita mo ba yung bagong statement ni Trillanes? Pag hindi daw tumakbo si Lenny, siya daw tatakbo.
kasama na yung ipadala sa Sprats eh. Yan. Actually, we need sometimes you have to be brutal eh. Sometimes yung mga the best countries, yung disiplina nanggagaling yan sa brutality eh. Magiging brutal ka. Pero ito yung pag-brutal na sinasabi ko, hindi naman natin papatayin eh. Pinag-uusapan natin, kunin lang natin para hindi sila manggugulo sa atin at doon natin sila bigyan ng kanilang sariling lugar doon sa isang isla sa Spratlys. Doon ninyo itatag ang inyong republika. Doon na lang kayo. Isang isla sa Spratlys. Bibigyan namin kayo ng 2 years worth of canned goods, mga sako ng bigas, kung ano-ano pa dyan, mga fishing rod, lambat. Bahala na kayo, okay? So, in 3 years time, babalik kami. Titingnan namin kung buhay pa kayo. At baka naging mga kalabira mo o mga kalansay, mga puro, di ba? Baka maging puro lang kayo. Di ba?
Libre shipping ng kanilang mga pajero. Tayo bahala, sagot na natin yun. Kung lagay natin sila lahat sa isang island sa Spratlys, tapos tayo na ang bahala sa shipping ng mga pajero ng mga pare. Sabi ni Kevin.
Kasi 'di ba? Basta kumbaga yung mga nanggugulo na yan, ipagsama natin sila diyan lahat. Sige, kontra kayo ng kontra, wala kayong ibang ginawa kundi manggulo. Diyan na kayo, okay? Diyan na lang kayo. Bibigyan namin kayo ng chance na magtatag ng sarili ninyong republika. Diyan na kayo. Yan, Pabilio, ikaw na ang spiritual head dyan. Ikaw na ang magiging sariling pope dyan sa sarili mong lugar. Gusto mo. Diba?
Sabi ni Edwin Orion, the reform for constitution is a must, but there's been a lot of misexplanation for the Congress, Senate, and lapses info for the people. There should be also participation by PIA, NGOs, and barangay through DILG, and it's also diverted to. It was diverted.
The COVID kasi naging mas importante yung info dissemination. Pero ngayon, yun na nga, kaya ginagawa na rin nung Kongreso yung pagpapatanggal nung 60-40, yung mga yan, dahil kailangan natin ng pera eh. Kailangan ng trabaho ng mga tao. Dahil sa COVID, bumaba syempre ang tax collection, konti ang taxes dahil konti lang ang business. Paano natin babayaran yung para sa mga bakuna, para sa pagbayad ng sweldo ng mga frontliners? All these things, they cost money. So where do you get the money to pay for those costs? Kailangan natin ng business. So bring the investors in. Tanggalin yung mga foreign direct investors investment restrictions na yan, para makapasok sila, magkaroon ng maraming trabaho, mas gaganda ang ekonomiya. Yun sana.
Alam mo, Ryan, hindi naman nagkulang ang gobyerno to explain all this, no? On what we want to happen once we are given the opportunity to change the 1987 Constitution and to make it work for our times. Hindi naman tayo nagkulang. I think the government, through the DILG, we've been trying to convince people to do this. We've been going around different places.
Indeed. I think it hasn't been a problem of the DILG or the government per se. It's just that ang lakas ng nung mainstream media, which is oligarch owned. So yung mga oligarch owned media nagkakalat pa rin ng mga wrong info. So
get into a tangent
yun yung problema, diba?
Alam mo problema, tama ka diyan. They tend to poison the well eh. Medyo sila magaling yung media to sort of dilute the substance of what we're trying to bring out there. Kasi they'll always talk about things that don't matter, like for example, cha-cha, it's not the time for cha-cha, and then they will bring in personalities who are obviously been against this ever since. And then they will try to make it like a debate or an argument. And then na ano tuloy o na yun parang nagiging yung impact nung conversation, yung impact ng pag-promote ng constitutional reform ay biglang nagiging mundane para sa mga tao. Alam mo, naging problema niyo, Ryan, that's why I want to get into a tangent. The same thing is happening with COVID. Ang reklamo ng ibang tao, lalo ng oposisyon, ay hindi daw enough ang information drive ng government. Pero if you're plugged in, if you watch PTV, you watch all the different araw-araw pa minsan ang presidente nagsasalita sa TV, di ba? If
Oh.
you're plugged in, if you're like me and Orion, tayo, political junkies, we're always like, we are always updated with what's happening with government. We know what the government is doing. But since these people don't really care about plugging in or trying to find out more about what's happening, mas madali sa kanila to judge the government for not doing anything even though they haven't been trying to find out what's happening. 'Di ba? In the same way, kaya medyo nagka-problema tayo sa constitutional reform dahil maliit na lang nga yung audience namin for it kasi it's such a complicated political matter na hindi naman lahat interesado sa politika. Tapos meron pa talagang mga tao sa mainstream media at mga ibang politiko na kumukontra. Kaya tuloy hindi nagiging wide yung coverage ng constitutional reform. In the same way, yung information drive ng about COVID, hindi tuloy malakas yung dating sa masa dahil meron ang parating naririnig is reklamo. At meron pang naglalabas ng mga impertinent at saka mga maling impormasyon na ang mga tao nako-confuse tuloy. Ang mainstream media is a culprit to all this because they enjoy the balitaktakan, the contradicting information passing through their channels. Kaya yun yung
Kaya
natin
nga,
dahil
ito pa ang nangyari. Talagang they even skew the programs against the reform narrative. So I remember before, for example, One News. I got featured in One News one time, but then how they did it was yung kanilang hosts are already against, or parang basically may pagka-anti-reform na nga sila eh. Tapos di nandyan ako. Di tatlo sana kami. Ninagyan pa nila ng isa pang tao, si Eric Colmenares, na isa ring anti-reform. So parang ginawa nila 3 versus 1. Tatlong anti-reform, tapos isang pro-reform. Pero hindi nila alam, talo pa rin sila. Nangyari, kawawa sila. I don't know if you've seen that.
Apat na tao, si Orion Perez Dumdum.
I don't know if you've seen that particular episode sa that was 2018.
I saw the excerpts of that.
You saw that one, yeah. So I mean, yung ganun, parang, but I had to train myself for many years to maging magaling sa pagdedebate. Para yung mga tao na akala nila kaya nilang manlin lang, hindi nila magagawa yan. Nangyari nga doon sa isang sa ANTV. Nandiyan si Daniel Rason. Tapos nandiyan ako. Nandiyan din si pangalan nito, si Tanyada, si Erin Tanyada. So may kontra. Ngayon mga puro wrong facts yung sinasabi niya. Kino-correct ko siya. I'm sorry pero alam mo ba yung electoral college, hindi mo alam? Actually may electoral college ang look it up. Parang tapos ang daming nagsabi, pucha, IT person tinalo yung lawyer, tinalo yung kongresista. Walang kaalam-alam pala yung kongresista tungkol sa politics pala. Kasi di siya nagre-research hindi sila nagbabasa ng mga ganitong libro eh. Actually, I'm gonna read an excerpt here.
Yeah, sure,
meron
man.
Dito kasi.
What's this book again?
Sinasabi sa librong to. Ito.
The Origin of Political Order. Okay.
Dito sa may first part pa lang, marami na kasi actually everywhere ang daming mga dito. Pero this part pa lang, sa may starting pa lang niya, starting chapter pa niya, may sinabi siya, once a society fails to confront a major fiscal crisis through serious institutional reform, as the French monarchy did after the failure of the Grand Parti in 1557, it is tempted to resort to a host of short-term fixes that erode and eventually corrupt its own institutions. These fixes, yung mga short-term fixes, involved giving in to various entrenched stakeholders and interest groups who invariably represented people with wealth and power in French society. The failure to balance the country's budget led to bankruptcy and the delegitimization of the state itself, a course that finally terminated in the French Revolution. So, parang ito nga yung point eh. Ito, kailangan talagang magkaroon ng tunay na yung long-term reforms, yung reform na yung institutional reforms like what we're talking about, system reform, constitutional reform, yung mga yan, yung babaguhin yung economic system natin para pwedeng pumasok ng madali yung mga foreign investors para dumami yung mga trabaho. Something like that. Kasi kulang na kulang sa trabaho ang mga Pilipino. At milyon-milyon ang kinakailangang lumabas ng bansa. Ang dami-dami ngayong mga nagbebenta ng kanilang laman na yung mga babae dyan na nagtitiktok ng pa-sexy-sexy sayaw na halos, nagpapakita ng skin, di ba? Para makabingwit sila ng taong ikakabit sila or ng foreigner na to take them away from the Philippines and give them a better future. Bakit? Walang future sa Pilipinas na nangyari dahil konti lang ang trabaho eh. So, kailangan baguhin talaga, kailangan baguhin kasi kung hindi babaguhin ang dapat baguhin, puro na lang short-term fixes ang mangyayari. Tulad ng sinabi dito sa page 9, yung sinasabing short-term fixes na yan, yung mga band-aid solution na yan. And yan ang nagiging problema. Kasi ang mga nagsusponsor ng mga short-term fix, yung short-term fix na lang, yung ganyan-ganyan lang, yun yung mga oligarchs. Yun yung mga sinasabi dito, entrenched wealthy groups and elites na, kumbaga parang ayaw nilang ayusin yung society para sa sa kabuuan. So,
alam mo,
ang nangyayari,
feeling ko,
kakaproblema talaga.
Duda ko, Orion, itong mga kaliwa. Sinasadya talagang nila hindi suportahan ng constitutional reform because that's not the way they want to change things to ang gusto nila is to destroy the establishment. Gusto nila pabagsakin.
They want a violent overthrow of
they want the French Revolution. They want
the French Revolution. Oh.
Correct. Kasi from their point of view, there's definitely a parang an obscene concentration of wealth sa 1-2% of our society who are the richest, and we have like a really small middle class, upper middle class, and the rest, the 80% are barely hanging on. So you have like people who come from the informal sector na kumikita through, they're not really, are they paying taxes, Orion, you think? The mambabalot?
Most of them are not. Yeah,
No,
they're not paying. They're not paying income taxes, but they are paying taxes whenever they buy stuff because there's VAT. Yeah. So that they are taxpayers too, but they don't have income. They don't pay income tax.
So the communist point of view is that walang hope na to, wala nang pag-asa. Hindi na natin kayang to gawin by way of legal means. Dapat ang gawin is to burn the house down. Hindi lang nila sinasabi yan eh. Kunyari lang yan na pa-kontra-kontra sila.
But here's the funny thing. The leftists, the top level communists are in cahoots with the oligarchs because many of them are themselves oligarchs. This is the funny thing eh. Sina Joma Season, ano yan? Anak ng Panginoong may lupa yan. Anak ng isendero yan eh. Sino yung second in command niya? Si Luis Alandoni.
Wala kahirap sa Netherlands yun si ano eh.
Oh, pero even before that, these people are themselves from asendero families. Joma Season is a asendero. Luis Alandoni is a asendero. So some of these other people in their groups are actually from asendero families too. Ganon.
Sino ba tong nagsalita? Si Carpio ba yung nagsalita? Basta nakakatawa to, marami sila sa kanila, nag-alternate sila, lumalabas sila sa media kung ano nung pinagsasabi. But one of these personalities, I just can't remember if it's La Sierda or si Carpio. Sabi nila, wag na nating botohin si Sara Duterte, wag nang bumoto ng another Duterte. Ah, parang dynasty yun. Anong tawag mo kay Noy Noy? Di ba si
Oo
Cory
nga,
naging
oo.
labo?
Ang labo talaga nila.
Ang labo talaga ng mga to. Ay, nako. Nakakatawa sila. So funny. But yeah, Orion, alam mo kung yung guest natin kagabi sa Istoryang Futbolero ay isang dating miyembro ng DILG. He was part of our federalism campaign, and he represented the province of the territories of Mimaropa. He's based in Palawan. And then he said that he quoted the books of he actually told a story from Noli Metangere, Orion.
Mhm.
Ang galing niya eh.
Uh-huh.
I think meron tayong kakulangan sa pag-review, or we need to read back and actually find out more about our history to see that that there's really a profound change that's needed to be done at this point in time, given
Well,
that all the things that Jose Rizal said 100+ years ago are still true today.
I've been talking a lot about that also in a lot of my, a lot of my talks before and a lot of my articles before. I really did talk about Jose Rizal before, especially Noli Metangere.
Mm.
It's not Metangere, it's Metangere because it's not even Spanish. It's actually Latin.
Mm.
Noli Metangere is actually is a phrase coming from John chapter 20 of the Latin Bible. That is a phrase that Jesus tells Mary Magdalene. Parang don't touch me. Parang ito yung part na ano siya sa John chapter 20 na parang sinasabi niya na don't touch me, parang you honor I forgot the exact, sorry, but let's go look at John chapter 20.
Do
That's
you
it.
remember this part of the book? I'm not sure
But
if it's Noli or El Filibrismo.
which one? Chapter 14?
No,
Yung
he talked about, kasi when we ended the program last night, he mentioned this excerpt from the book where a guy was asking this boy, which one is this? I think he was holding a bird, and he said, "Do you think this bird is alive? If it's alive, parang." Do you remember any part of the book that talked about
I don't remember that part anymore,
na
actually.
na parang it Rizal wanted to show in that example, in that part of the book, that people should um, hold on to their dreams, and parang we have to really be passionate about nation building. We really need to believe in change for change to happen. Parang ganun yung point nung kanyang story, na you have to believe that the bird is alive. Kumbaga, diba?
Mm,
Something like
yeah.
that. No matter what happens. And it's very interesting in that yun, El Filibusterismo, sabi ni Edwin Zabian. I think nakinig siya kagabi. At yun ang
Sa El Filibusteris. Okay. Yung ano pala, anyway, I was gonna say yung sa Noli Me Tangere, no? If you read it in English or in Spanish, if you read it in English, actually mas madali siyang maintindihan. Kasi ang problema sa atin dati, no tinuro sa atin in high school, ang daming talasalitaan, di ba? So sobrang hirap intindihin. Ang dami mga hard words, hindi mo maintindihan. So,
ako ko sa inyo, Orion, pero nung sa Ateneo de Davao, medyo yung aming professor na in charge of teaching those books, medyo boring eh.
oo nga, yun nga. That's the thing. And it's so hard to understand it because of the talasalitaan. What happens is, you are forced to listen to the version that the teacher is mandated to give, which is again, ang mga Kastila ang masasama, blah 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 blah. Pero ang Noli Me Tangere, actually if you really read it, you will find na ang Noli Me Tangere hindi pala ang mga Kastila ang tinitira ni Rizal. Ang mga Pilipino ang tinitira ni Rizal.
Ating mga kapwa Pilipino ang
Kapwa
problema
Pilipino
talaga.
ang tinitira ni Rizal sa Noli Me Tangere, ang mga Pilipino. Ang mga problema ng mga attitude problem, lalo na doon sa chapter 14 na yung pinag-uusapan ay si Piloso Potasio. Kasi sa chapter 14 na si Piloso Potasio, si Piloso Potasio ang bida doon. Isa siyang henyo na ang daming libro, talagang walang ibang ginawa kundi magbasa, ang daming alam. Tapos nagko-complain itong si Piloso Potasio tungkol sa ugali ng mga Pilipino na hindi ginagawa ang dapat gawin para yumaman at umunlad. So, dun sa chapter 14, nagagalit si pangalan nito, si Tasio, na ang mga Pilipino puro na lang pagwawaldas ng pera, piyesta lang, ganyan. Yung kumbaga
ito pala.
Yun. Ha? Ano yun?
Ito pala wala yun. Sa pala, tama. Yung kwento pala ni JR kagabi, ay si Piloso Potasio. Naglalakad siyang nakasalubong siyang bata. May hawak na ibon at itinago sa likod nito. Tinanong siya kung buhay o patay ito. Kung sasabihin niyang buhay, pipisilin ito ng bata hanggang mamatay. Kung sasabihin niyang patay, papakawalan ito ng bata. Wala siyang lusot. Kaya sinabi niyang, nasa iyong kamay ang sagot. Unang alternatibong nangyari, hinampas ni Tasio gamit ng baston ang bata sa muka at lumipad ang ilang ngipin at dugo nito. So yun yung kwento ni JR kagabi. Yun ang ginamit niyang passage from the book Noli Me Tangere sa kwento ni Piloso Potasio. Ang galing. Maganda
yung isa sa pinaka-importante, for me personally, ang pinaka-importanteng kapitulo, chapter, kabanata ng Noli Me Tangere ay yung chapter 14 nung kay Piloso Potasio. Kasi nandun yung buod ng yung mga hinanakit ni Rizal tungkol sa Pilipinas. Okay. Yung mga parang sinasabi niya, masyadong short-term mag-isip ang maraming mga Pilipino, ba't hindi tayo nag-iimpok ng pera, or why are we not investing parang ganyan for the future? Why are we not, for example, investing in sabi niya, lightning rod, for example. May pinag-usapan siya na lightning rod. Magbili lang tayo ng lightning rod. Doon na lang lagi pag doon nagkaroon tayo ng lightning rod, doon na lang lahat pupunta yung kidlat. Hindi na tayo matatakot na pag nandun tayo sa bukid, nagsasaka tapos biglang uulan, tapos natatakot tayo baka matamaan tayo. 'Di ba? Kasi may iba natatamaan. Kaya so sabi niya, mas maganda may mag-lightning rod na lang tayo. Ang problema, we're not saving money for that kasi winawaldas natin during fiesta. So yun yung niya. So ang daming mga hinanakit na nilalabas ni Rizal doon sa kapitulong yan, sa kabanatang yan. Ngayon, isa sa mga importanteng pinag-usapan ni Rizal doon na pinag-usapan ng karakter niya na si Piloso Potasio ay yung sinabi ni Piloso Potasio na hindi ako naniniwala sa hereditary monarchy, sa kahari-harian ng dinastiya. Sabi niya ganon. Sabi niya, naniniwala ako na hindi mo dapat binibigyan ng puri ang anak dahil sa kanyang ama, kundi bibigyan mo ng puri ang ama dahil sa kanyang anak. Sabi niya. At in fact, ang sinabi pa nga niya doon, sinabi ni Piloso Potasio, dahil meron akong dugong Chino, naniniwala ako katulad ng mga Chino na hindi dapat natin parang you don't praise the son for what the father did. Instead, you praise the father kung magaling yung magaling yung anak, doon mo i-praise yung ama. dahil magaling ka magpalaki ng bata. Pero yung bata na bata, bakit mo sasabihin, ang galing ng bata, oh. Pero yung tatay, yung pala yung magaling. So, yun yung nangyari din sa atin sa Pilipinas, na pinupuri natin itong si Noynoy dahil sa kung ano man yung nagawa ng kanyang mga magulang. Eh, iba siya eh. Di ba? Walang kwenta siyang tao eh. Sabi nga ni Piloso Potasio, dapat kumbaga, pupurihin mo yung tao para sa kanyang mga ginawa, hindi yung ano yung ginawa ng iba.
Ng kanyang mga
Ganon.
magulang.
Ng kanyang mga magulang.
Ng kanyang pamilya. O ng kanyang kung ano ang kanyang kumbaga yung kanyang last name hindi dapat nagde-define sa pagkatao ng personalidad. Hindi dapat siya
si Edwin Zablan. I think we met si Edwin naman. Of course, magkakilala tayo, pre. Kasama tayo. 'Di ba nandito ka rin sa Singapore, 'di ba? O umuwi ka na ba? So, ayun. Anyway, pre, kasama tayo sa MRRD. 'Di ba? Kilala tayo. Anyway, ano ba 'yung sinasabi ko? Yun. So, importante yung ano na yun, yung kapitulo ng yung chapter 14 ng Noli Me Tangere. And in fact, yun na nga importante yung malaman ng mga tao na ang Noli Me Tangere actually hindi talaga masyado yung about yung mga Kastila masasama. Ang pinag-uusapan niya masasama ang mga ugali ng mga Pilipino na nagpapa-backward sa atin. And then meron din siyang syempre binabatikos niya rin yung mga praile na parang hindi nyo naman din sila tinuturuan ng mga siyensya, ng mga lohika, puro na lang sa relihiyon lang. So, ang kay Rizal at ng mga kasama niyang mga ilustrado, hindi masyado yung pagiging kontra nila sa mga Kastila ang issue. Hindi yun eh. Ang issue talaga ng mga ilustradong pumunta dun sa Madrid at saka sa Europa ay gusto nila na ang Pilipinas ay umangat na maging katulad ng Europe. Yun yung gusto nilang mangyari. Yung pala yun. Yeah, that's really what they wanted.
It wasn't really about exploiting our natural resources and bringing it back to Spain. Kasi medyo walang pera ang Spain.
It wasn't that. Isn't that the
main objective of some of the explorers? They go to different uncharted waters and they go to lands na they haven't discovered yet, and then they try to look for spices.
But that had long ceased to be the issue at that point in time. The issue of the Ilustrados was not anymore about galit kami sa mga Kastila. That was not it. They wanted that. Yung main point nila is gusto nila na ang Pilipinas ay umangat na maging katulad ng nakikita nila sa Europe. Kumbaga kung yung namulat sila sa kagandahan na nakikita nila, ang daming taong matatalino, ang daming mga edukado.
So
parang
Rizal is part of this group of Filipinos who were exposed abroad, who were exposed in Europe.
Yes.
That's why
Rizal
they started
is part
writing.
of that group.
That's
He
why they started
wanted he wanted the Philippines to become like Europe. He wanted the Philippines to enjoy the same standards that he saw in Madrid, in Barcelona, in all these other parts in Paris, in all these other parts of Europe that he saw. Yun. It's not na kick out the Españoles, kick out the Castilla. That's not what it was about. That's not what the Ilustrados were about. That's not what Rizal was about. What Rizal wanted is and all his friends, umangat ang Pilipinas na maging kasing ganda rin nung nakikita nila sa Europe. Yun.
Sabi ni Lorenzo Pescador, tama ka Orayon, nung tinuro sa amin nung grade 9 to 10, yung Noli tsaka El Fili, laging Kastila yung mga masasama kapag in-explain sa amin.
Kasi ganito yung estilo ng pagturo dati ng Noli at saka ng Fili. Yung libro ng Noli at Fili nakasulat sa Tagalog na ang daming mga talasalitaan na ginagamit. Mga salitang hindi ginagamit sa pang-araw-araw na salita, di ba? So, dahil sa sobrang hirap na maintindihan, ano yung ibig sabihin nito? kailangan nating tanungin ang guro. Ngayon ang guro, ikikwento niya ang kanyang summary ng ito kasi ang pinasabi nito dito ay masama ang mga Kastila. So yung magbibigay siya ng interpretasyon based doon sa DEX or sa MEX. Dati MEX yun sa time ni Marcos, yung Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports. Na later naging DEX, Department of Education, Culture and Sports. Meron silang handbook na nandun yung interpretasyon na ang mga Kastila ang masasama. So yun yung parang ipe-brainwash sa mga bata na ito ang gustong ibig sabihin ni Rizal dito na ganito, ganyan. Pero kung binasa mo sa wikang Ingles o sa original niya sa Kastila, makikita mo na hindi naman pala yan ang pinag-uusapan eh. Makikita mo talaga na ang hinanakit ni Rizal ay yung galit niya na bakit ayaw umunlad ng mga Pilipino. Yun yung makikita mo pag binasa mo yung original or kahit English na version ng No Limit Tangerine at pati na rin ng Philly.
So yun, na medyo kasi very dependent rin yung education natin sa mga nagtuturo sa atin, no? So kung yung ating guro o yung teacher natin, yung professor natin ay hindi ganoon ang kanilang hindi malalim ang pagkakaintindi nila sa kanilang tinuturo, we are left with their level of understanding. And then years pass, decades pass, and the only thing that we remember about that class is it's boring. It's not a big deal. Castilla, the Spaniards are bad. But now that we look back and we actually had the chance to review, and we have people like you, Orion, who actually took time to understand the text of those very important books from Jose Rizal, yun pala ay napaka-significant sa mga nangyayari sa ating sa panahon ngayon, yung mga sinasabi ni Rizal. At maganda na we have to really yung kanyang mga teachings at saka yung mga kanyang mga mensahe nung sinulat niya yung mga libro na yon. Lalong-lalo na ngayon dahil pinupush natin yung constitutional reform.
Yun.
Sabi ni Ronan Dayot, as always, we're still stagnant in our quest for constitutional reform, and I'm sure Jose Rizal is rolling in his grave right now because
nako, galit na galit yun. Rizal would be one of the first people to really become angry at Filipinos na hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin yung inayos yung dapat ayusin. Hanggang ngayon. Para bang, and if he were alive today and he saw na, maganda naman yung malolos constitution, bakit di nyo nalang binalik yun? Bakit kayo nagkaroon ng mga bagong konstitusyon, nag-presidential system pa kayo, hindi pa kayo nag-federalism, si Rizal nagsulat yan sa dentro de 100 años. Filipinas dentro de 100 años. Sabi niya, ang Pilipinas malamang magiging federalism ang gamit dahil sa iba-iba yung kasi nga archipelago, di ba? Iba-iba. So parang it makes more sense na maging federal. Ano yung pinipilit niyo yung one size fits all na hindi naman pare-pareho lahat ng konteksto sa bansa. So he would himself be angry at what if we were able to save, if we have a time machine, tapos we saved him, we brought him today, and then he sees the Philippines, he'll say, what the heck happened? He'll say, ang pangit pala na nangyari, shucks, grabe, hindi na talaga kayo natuto. Magagalit talaga siya. He would really be angry.
Sabi ni Orion, ito nakakatawa, sabi ni Rob Polvorosa, ayan yung ididibang ko sa report namin.
Ano yun, may school report ba kayo? Kailangan talaga i-debunk ninyo sa school report. Kailangan talaga ipakita nyo.
Ito, is this an Arabic, parang hindi ko masyado maintindihan yung mga characters na ginamit. Pero sabi niya, true, you have to mold people na magiging mas magaling sa'yo. Alam mo, kasi parang matagal-tagal rin, Orion. I think it happened also in our generation that we were so enamored by the Americans, no? We followed Hollywood like crazy. We thought that they had it great in America. As a matter of fact, so many Filipinos tried to migrate to America because of the tinatawag nilang the American dream. They thought that it'll be fulfilled if they go to America. And it's because of the movies that we've been watching. And we really talagang masyado tayong bilib sa mga Amerikano na nakalimutan natin na meron tayong sariling mga katangian na unique at maraming mga Pilipino na who are naturally talented na hindi man lang natin na-recognize at hindi natin na ma-maximize at this point. And yung sinasabi nga nila na, Orion, dapat siguro kung gumawa tayo, mag-uwi natin ng konstitusyon, na isipin natin ay it should be modeled after our own experiences and what's happening sa grassroots level. Hindi dapat siya patterned after the American Constitution or anything.
Kaya nga yung when the drafters of the Malolos Constitution set up their constitution, they were very careful na they will take inspiration from societies that they feel have a greater set of similarities with the Philippines. So at that point in time, they felt, and we actually do have a big a huge connection with Latin America. Parang, when I hung out with my friends na Latin Americans, para silang Pinoy. Para talaga sila ugaling Pinoy. Espanyol lang sila magsalita. Pero Pinoy na Pinoy ang kanilang mga attitude. Para silang Pinoy. Now, so yung when these the framers of the Malolos Constitution set up the Constitution, they decided na magde-derive sila ng kanilang mga inspirations doon sa mga constitution ng iilang mga bansang similar sa Pilipinas. So several countries in Latin America, Spain, they looked at the Cadiz Constitution of 1812, the La Pepa, that is what they call the La Pepa. They looked also at some of the other Catholic countries of Europe, no? So yun, yung mga ilang mga bansa na parang nakikita nila na meron tayong matututunan dito. Meron certain affinities tayo sa kanila. So, they made this conscious decision na wag tayong kumopya dyan sa US kasi ibang-iba yung kultura nila eh. Pero yung mga Southern European, mga Latin American, yung mga Kastila, sabi nila, we have a lot in common with them. We can learn from them also. And you have to remember, the people who set up the Malolos Constitution were contemporaries. They were friends, barkada, nitong mga ilustradong nakapagpunta sa Europe. So nandun sila sa barkada na yan na yung kanilang point of view is gawin natin yung para maging katumbas natin yung Europe. Yun yung kanilang mindset na and they had a very rational approach to it. Hindi yung mindlessly copying the US, which is what happened to later on. Mindlessly copying sa kanila, pipiliin natin ito, maganda tong part na to dito, bagay ito sa atin, ito. Talagang pinili talaga nila. Tingnan nyo yung Malolos Constitution. Ang Malolos Constitution bukas sa pagpasok ng foreign direct investor. Property rights of foreigners who are investing in a business in the Philippines are protected. Tapos open siya sa sino mang mga gustong maging Pilipino na parang kumbaga born ka sa Pilipinas, pwede ka maging Pilipino kahit na ba puti ka, wala kaming pakialam. Why should we pare-pareho lang naman din tayo. Kasi nga during that time sila enlightened. Those people were influenced by the European Enlightenment. Mga rationalist sila. Unfortunately, later on, hindi na eh. Naging tayo, Hollywood, starstruck ignoramuses tayo eh. Nangyari sa atin.
Alam mo, Ryan, naalala ko tuloy yung aking mga experience ng kabataan natin. Pag Sunday, syempre, pinipili tayo ng mga magulang natin na magsimba, di ba? And usually, ang ating motivation going to church is to see this really cute girl who's in church. And the only reason why we want to go, even though we want to watch TV or enjoy other things, is because of the obviously wrong reasons. Forma lang, pakita lang yung kapitbahay natin na maganda or yung crush natin sa school na the same simbahan pumupunta. And I feel na it's almost like a euphemism or it's something It's actually a good example of how our politicians are. Hindi naman tayo nagkulang sa talino eh. Itong mga politician natin, may mga utak yung mga yan, kaya nga nanalo yun eh. Alam nila paano kausapin ng tao. Pero they're there for the wrong reasons. That's why we're in this mess. And the reason behind that is we were um, we were not immersed in these values that Rizal actually encourage, or talagang he wasn't able to inspire this generation of politicians or people who are in power to become what they're supposed to be, which is public servants, and to enrich and uplift the state of our country. Ano nga yung famous saying ni Rizal Orayon when in Spanish, what do you call love for country? What is what
Amor
is the term?
propio? Ano? No, sorry. Love of country.
Hmm.
Pat- patriotismo?
Because
Okay.
basically that's what Rizal's main message is. We have to. That's why he died for the country to begin with. That's what's missing with our politicians now. It's really about what is it in it? What's in it for me? If I support a particular amendment or a law or a bill, what's in it for me? What will this do for my ups? What's the upside for me? Will it enrich me in terms of wealth, material wealth? Will it perpetuate my power? Those are the questions that they always ask themselves all the time. That's why we're in this rut. And because no one thinks like Rizal anymore in this day and age. Kaya maganda orahin na bring up mo si Rizal kasi baka we need to go back and retrace where this patriotism is coming from. Unfortunately, the left had they had a good idea, but it's been medyo na ano na nila na what's the word for it, Ryan? um, uh, it's there's a term for it na parang na ano nila na nasira yung objective, nasira yung values behind it. Parang it became a Frankenstein of sorts. Kasi itong sa kaliwa, kahit na maganda yung hangarin nila, dumating yung panahon na parang ano na rin pinagkikitaan na rin nila yung pagiging rebelde nila. Hindi na siya talaga about uplifting the masses or the state of the masses. So Orion, we promised that we're going to end the program after an hour.
May nagtanong lang. How will you square with the idea that FedPAR will enrich local dynasty? How can it enrich local dynasty? When in fact what happens with real federalism is about making sure that the only time that you will have power in the region is when you also have duties and responsibilities. That's what it is. People, the problem is many Filipinos are not understanding what federalism is all about. Akala lang nila it's just giving power. It's not just about increasing power, it's also increasing responsibility and duty. So parang may kaakibat na na duty Pag tumaas yung power, may duty na kasama yon. So wala, hindi mo naman makukuha, tapos parliamentary pa. Mas grabe yung accountability doon. So talagang kung walang kwenta ka, tanggal ka agad. Madali kang matanggal. Yung walang kwenta sa loob ng federal parliamentary system, madaling matanggal. So paano mo ma-enrich yung mga local dynasty? Local dynasty kung walang kwenta naman sila, o di ba? Wala. Pero kung magaling yung sabihin natin yung local dynasty, magaling. Para tumagal sila sa kanilang poder, they have to do a good job. And that good job entails making everyone better off. So, sige, okay lang. Kahit dynasty sila, pero they deliver. That's the important thing. Everybody in the group has to do a good job. Look at Singapore. Wala namang pakialam yung mga tao sa Singapore na yung kanilang prime minister ngayon ay anak ng dating prime minister na si Lee Kuan Yew. Si Lee Kuan Yew, yung first founding prime minister ng Singapore, after him, there was Goh Chok Tong, and after Goh Chok Tong, anak ni Lee Kuan Yew, si Lee Hsien Loong ang nakadala. But the thing is, Lee Hsien Loong deserved it. Magaling siya Super galing siya So, Doon din sa mga so-called local dynasty, kung magaling naman pala sila, okay lang. Ang importante is, para kayo ma-perpetuate sa power, kailangan nyo ipakita yung pagiging magaling ninyo sa tamang paraan. Kasi kung hindi nyo ginamit yung poder nyo sa tamang paraan, di matatanggal kayo. Kasi ganun ang parliamentary system. So kung federal parliamentary yung system na pinag-uusapan, hindi talaga mangyayari yung parang binigay mo yung poder sa isang grupo na na hindi nila deserve. You have to deserve it to be there. Ganun
Well,
siya.
well, that's something to think about, Orion. No, we have a week again to when we come back with Orion next Friday. Sana ay nagbasa kayo konti kasi total wala naman tayong trabaho next week at ito ay isang magandang panahon para we can retrace our roots and at the same time try to study the topic of constitutional reform because the more people know about it and the more you know, it's easier for you to tell other people why it's good. And the point here, obviously, is this system right now is not working for us. There are more people, more poor people still. Nothing has changed since they ratified the 1987 Constitution.
It's
Same,
gotten
same.
worse. It's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse. And now it's about time that we do an overhaul, short of a revolution. Ha? O hindi naman natin gustong magkaroon ng RevGov kasi it's just going to complicate things. And you know how it is when there is uncertainty. Diyan pumapasok yung opportunism from parties who don't mean well. And magti-take advantage lang yan. And at the same time, we want to, then again, thank you so much, Fel Fresco, no, for sa iyong pakikiramay sa pamilya ni Professor Alfred Soreta. May he rest in peace. I'm sure if he were here, he would really enjoy this conversation of ours, Orion. This has always been his...
Kailangan mga kababayan para makiramay tayo at ma-honor natin si Professor Alfred, talagang ituloy natin ang laban. Ganun dapat. Ituloy natin yung laban para naman din sa kanya. At sa ibang mga taong naglalaban para sa reforma, yan, tulad din ng Rizal, para i-continue na natin yung kinakailangan mangyari. 'Di ba? Iangat natin ang Pilipinas kasi ang gusto talaga ng mga ilustradong yan dati is maging katumbas na ng Europe ang Pilipinas. Bakit nila naisip yan? Kasi yung isa nilang kabarkada o dalawa nilang kabarkada, si Resurrection Hidalgo at saka si Juan Luna ay mga Pilipino pero nabigyan ng mga magagaling na gantimpala ng Europe dun sa kanilang mga painting sa dun sa parang parang art contest 'yun, 'di ba? So yung kanilang mga paintings ng kanilang mga kasama kumbaga na-recognize na magaling pala kayo. So yun yung point ko. Hindi naman pipitsugin ng Pilipino, kaya naman natin eh. So kaya naisip nila kung kaya natin na maging mas magaling nga tayong pintor kaysa sa mga Kastila, baka yung Pilipinas pwede ring maging katumbas ng Europe, ng Espanya. Yun. Hindi naman patanggalin natin sila. Hindi. Maging umangat tayo. Yun.
Tama yan. Orion, ituloy natin yung mga kwentuhan yan na next Friday. No? Si Orion talagang napakalawak ng kanyang kaalaman when it comes to history. Hindi na sayang yung compete mo, Orion, sa Battle of the Brains. Nung medyo na-bring up ngayon, medyo bumabalik, may mga nagpapakita ng mga old videos of the host, ano pangalan ng host na yun?
David Sedran.
Si David Saldran was interviewed about it. He said he never expected that program would have such a really good legacy, no? Na
here in Singapore, after so many years, I sometimes may mga lalapit sa akin, "Oy, Orion, napanood kita dati sa Battle of the Brains." Parang tagal-tagal na nun, pero
tuloy-tuloy lang, Ryan. Huwag kang magsasama na i-educate ang ating mga kababayan sa lalangan ng history ng ating ng Pilipinas at saka ng mga personalidad na nag-define or who led the way in explaining to people what our democracy should be. And we should really rethink and come back to those ideas that Rizal set forth early on, a century ago, di ba?
Indeed.
Yun ang kailangan natin ngayon.
So,
So,
I was gonna say, para sa lahat ng mga tao dyan, sana, imbis na ang aatupagin ng mga Pilipino ay itong change oil na yan, change constitution na. Change
yun.
constitution, change system na.
I-meme
Yun.
na yan. I-meme na yan, Orion.
I-meme na yan.
Hindi
Oo, di
natin
ba?
kailangan change oil, change the system.
Change the system, change the constitution. Yun ang kailangan baguhin.
Maraming salamat
Diba?
kay Adrian Tepes, Jojo Dagmante, Eduardo Mariscal, sila Rockford Maunes, Karen Minao, Jason Engala. Ang dami nating mga viewers ngayong gabi. Si Eugene Sumera. Maraming salamat. Adol Taurak, Rockford Maunes, Jericho Migino, si Fel Fresco, si Jose Marie Caballa Ray, and Sean Mendoza. If hindi natin nabasa yung mga pangalan ninyo ay pasensya na po, pero maraming salamat po sa inyong pagkinig at pagnood ng Istoryang Futbolero ngayong gabi, ngayong Friday. At gamitin po natin yung panahon na nasa bahay tayo na magkaroon ng self-reflection at maisip natin kung ano yung dapat nating gawin.
Puntahan ninyo ang correctphilippines.org. Okay? Correctphilippines.org. Magbasa kayo about constitutional reform, magbasa kayo tungkol sa pagiging bukas sa foreign direct investors, basahin ninyo yung tungkol sa parliamentary system, basahin ninyo yung tungkol sa federalism. Ang dami-dami naming resources doon sa website na yan. So may chance kayong makapag-aral at paminsan nga kung talagang inaral nyo lahat ng mga yan, magiging eksperto talaga kayo. Ganon.
Okay. Good. Tsaka yung konting paalala lang, alam nyo itong pagtaas ng COVID ay malaki ang kinalaman ng kooperasyon ng ating mga kababayan. Lahat po tayo ay dapat maging disiplinado kasi yun lang, that's the only way for us to be able to stop the spread of this virus. And it has taken on different forms now. Medyo may ibang variants na po ang nakapasok sa Pilipinas. It's more contagious. So, napaka-importante po. Isa lang po kailangan nating tandaan. Pag nakikipag-usap po tayo sa ibang tao at hindi maiwasan na makihalubilo tayo sa ating mga kaibigan, ating mga kapamilya, ay suotin pa rin natin ang ating mga mask. Kasi yan lang po ang nagpoprotekta sa ating mga kababayan, sa ating mga kapatid, sa ating mga kaibigan from whoever has COVID. So, mask, pag walang kwentuhan, pag walang mask po, yun lang po ang ating tandaan. Sana wag natin kakalimutan yung mga paalala ng DOH rin. Mask, iwas, hugas. Yun po, 3 very important things. Kasi ayaw po nating mamatay. Kawawa po yung ating pamilya. Ang dami po nating mga kaibigan at talagang nagkasakit at ang iba ay namatay. Talagang kawawa kagaya ni Professor Alfred Soreta. 'Di ba? Kung hindi dahil sa COVID, nandito pa sana siya at tuloy-tuloy yung laban natin kasama siya para isulong ang constitutional reform. Pero dahil sa COVID, dahil hindi po tayo paminsan nag-iingat, ay nangyayari po ito sa ating mga kakilala. So yun lang po, no? Don't forget to be careful, to stay safe. Orion, maraming salamat sa iyong pagdalo sa Istoryang Futbolero. We're looking forward to more of your amazing large ang tawag nito, may malaki kang storage of information that we have yet to unleash on this program. So Orion, maraming salamat, bro.
Okay, maraming salamat din, Ron. Okay, sa lahat ng mga listeners natin, maraming salamat. Huwag niyong kalimutan ikalat ang correctphilippines.org. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend. Maraming salamat. See you. Ingat. Stay safe.